It's game day, folks. The NBA Finals have arrived, and we've got a game day preview of Game 1 between the Mavericks and the Celtics. He's Jeffrey Cooperstein. I'm Harrison Graham. We each have 5 keys to victory for the Mavericks to win Game 1 on the road, so we'll get to those as we go here. But first, who's winning Finals MVP, Coop? I think there's a clear 4 guys that really are the only players who have a chance.
There will not be an Andre Iguodala situation.
No, it is not going to happen. Dereck White's not winning Finals MVP. So if you think it's going to be Luka, type 77. If you think it's going to be Kyrie, type 11. If you think it's going to be Jayson Tatum, type 0. If you think it's going to be Jaylen Brown, type 7. It will be one of these 4 players. Let us know who you guys think it is. Hopefully it is Mr. Doncic. All right, stage is set as the Mavericks and Celtics, after several days off, I think 10 for Boston and 6 for Dallas. I don't even know if that's right anymore. It's been so long. That sounds right, though. They've both had at least around a week off or more. Game 1 is tonight, 7:30 Central Time, which really is going to be about 7:45 because ESPN dilly-dallies. We'll be live here at 7 o'clock, so be sure to join us for that. And we finally made it, Coop.
It was a long, I almost want to say torturous week of there not being basketball. This series could have easily started 2 or 3 days ago.
I think Tuesday would have been the happy medium. Like, give both teams a little bit of time. Let's get these teams at close to full strength. But yeah, it's been a while, and I'm just glad we're finally playing some hoops.
I'm thrilled that we're finally here, and I can't wait to talk about real basketball. We've been kind of talking about what it's going to look like. Now we get to see for real, so I really just can't wait for it.
We'll get to Coop's keys first. Obviously, we'll kind of go back and forth on each of our keys here, but I think your first one is a good point, especially when you factor in Kyrie returning to Boston.
Absolutely.
It's not even like you get off to a great start. Just don't get blitzed early in this game.
Yeah, you know that crowd is going to be extremely hostile. You know it's going to be very loud. The emotions can always get to you in the first 5 minutes of the game. And that's kind of how you can end up losing games as well if you get drilled there in the first 5 minutes and get punched in the mouth. I do believe the Mavs have the mental maturity and the mental makeup to be able to withstand this kind of thing. But as long as you come out of the first 5 minutes okay, you get to that under 7 timeout with the game, still very much in hand, whether it's 5 points your way or the other. I really do believe that's a key to winning Game 1 because you just don't want to come out and say Boston ends up on like a 13-4 run to start this game. That's just not how you want to do it.
Yeah, and I think Jayson Kidd, this is where he really needs to kind of I know he's a big let's let the players figure things out, but it's okay if you have to take a timeout 3.5 minutes into this game.
Yes.
You'd rather not do that, but
look, I'm a big Jayson Kidd fan, but I think that is his one thing that annoys the hell out of me is he doesn't take timeouts when his team goes through adversity. And maybe that's him just saying, hey, as players, you guys just need to go through it. This is the finals, man. I mean, if you have to take an early timeout, you got to do it. But hopefully they don't have to, and they can just get to that first TV timeout with the game still very much intact.
Yeah, see a couple go in early. That would be very, very nice. Number 2, be physical on the wings. Explain this one.
I think PJ and Derrick Jones Jr. just really need to be physical with Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And not quite Lou Dort to Luka, where it was borderline assault and he would have been in prison if this wasn't on a basketball court. But you got to rough them up a little bit, man. I mean, and just try to get into the kitchen because if you give Tatum any amount of space whatsoever, we know how good he is there. He's a 3-level scorer, and you just really need to make life difficult on both of those two because that's kind of the engine of that Celtics team, and if you can disrupt that, I think it disrupts everything that they're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, you have 2 good perimeter defenders in Washington and Jones, especially Jones. Washington at times can be hit and miss, but he's been pretty good for the most part as well. Their defensive prowess in this series is going to be pretty vital because the Celtics are built to their roster is built with multiple wings that could score. Yep. So you're going to have to make life difficult on them. You're not going to stop Jayson Tatum. You're not going to stop Jaylen Brown, but make it challenging, make them think twice. Make it tough to get to their spots, and that's going to give you a good chance. Number 3, use the pick and roll.
Yeah, you outlined this earlier in the week. The Celtics are the worst pick-and-roll defense in the NBA in the postseason so far, and I do believe the Mavs are the best pick-and-roll offense in the NBA. So get Luka, get Dereck Lively, get Gafford, get Kyrie involved, and really kind of use that game. We know Luka coming off a screen is absolutely deadly. If they blitz him, he's going to find the open man, and it'll be 4-on-3. If they switch, they're going to let Luka play 1-on-1. Good luck. He's the best offensive player in the game right now. So I think it's a pick your poison, and that is the Mavs' best chance for success on the offensive end.
I like this next one, Coop. Limit turnovers. Boston, obviously, a lot of athletic wings that can get out and run. So, you certainly want to limit those opportunities.
And maybe I'm wrong on this. I don't know if you feel this way. It feels like in the postseason they have turned the ball over more than they did in the regular.
It's been a little more. Kyrie early in these games has been pretty sloppy. Like, it hasn't just been he's missing shots. Like, he's had multiple games where he's had 3 turnovers in the first quarter. Luka's been a little at times greedy with some outlet passes. Now, I think his turnovers you live with more than Kyrie's because he's going to make so many special plays and get guys open shots. But that doesn't mean like you want to get, at the end of the first quarter with 6 turnovers. So, they've been a little loose at times with the ball. I don't think it's been egregious by any means. I think some of it is just the defensive pressure ramps up in the postseason. Especially the unforced ones, just the sloppy ones, like
the ones where
Kyrie's dribbling the ball off his foot a couple times. It's like, that type of stuff. Like, if they're going to take the ball away, like, make them, do it on their end, not just because you gave them the ball.
And then my last key, Kyrie needs to show up, man. It's been a very strange playoffs for Kyrie Irving. He has had games where he does not show up in the first half and he goes off in the second half. He has had games where he scores 20 in the first half and is kind of quiet.
Yeah, like last series, 3 of the 5 games, he was excellent in the first half.
He was excellent. And then there's been games where he just doesn't really show up at all. That was mostly in the Oklahoma City series. They need him to show up and have a good game, and it's going to be tough because the pressure will be on him returning to Boston in an NBA final setting. The crowd is obviously going to be against him. They're going to be chanting. They're going to be booing. It's going to be loud and hostile, but if he can weather the storm like the Mavs need to in the first 5 minutes as well, I think Kyrie will be fine, and he's going to have a good series as well.
Yeah, I think mentally he's in a good place. Like, obviously he's going to hear the noise. I mean, that's impossible not to, but I think he's in a good spot just mentally right now where he can handle it. We'll get to my keys in this one with a little bit of overlap in just a moment, but do want to remind you guys that Prize Picks is our sponsor for the entire NBA playoffs and now the NBA Finals. We appreciate them. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get a deposit match for first-time customers up to $100. If you're already signed up with Prize Picks, start firing off entries. I mean, this is the time to have fun when the stakes are the highest and to potentially take home some big-time cheddar. 3-player entry for Game 1 tonight. We'd like the more on Jayson Tatum, half a point. They're offering you a gimme there. More Luka, 31.5 points, and then more on the Dereck Lively points, rebounds, and assists of 16.5. 10 to win 50 on this 3-player entry. You could win up to 100 times your money on any given entry right now with Prize Picks. Turn $10 into 1,000. Go check it out. Got other sports available too. NHL, Stanley Cup Finals ongoing or getting going soon here. MLB regular season, WNBA as well. PrizePicks.com/CLNS, code CLNS. You choose more, you choose less. It's Prize Picks. Go check it out. Okay, let's get to my keys. Assuming Kristaps Porzingis starts tonight, which I think if he's playing, he's going to start, and assuming that means Al Horford to the bench, I think your backup or top bench guy and backup big needs to outplay theirs. I think Dereck Lively, and really this applies throughout the whole series, Dereck Lively needs to be better than Al Horford.
Yeah.
I mean, they're different players, obviously. Like, Horford's going to play on the perimeter a decent amount. He can pick and pop. But, just from an overall impact standpoint, Dereck Lively, which, look, it's asking a decent amount, but he's clearly up to the challenge. I think he needs to be more impactful than Al Horford does.
Yeah, I do as well. And given what Lively's gone through this postseason, it would be I'm not expecting him to have like this wonderful finals, but I think he's going to be a real big key if the Mavs are going to end up winning because he has dealt with injury. He's dealt with personal stuff as well. But on the floor, I think if Lively can outplay Horford, that would do wonders for the Mavericks. And I really believe that the Mavs do have the advantage as far as I think both Gafford and Lively are better than Horford, while KP may be the best big in this series. I think once you take KP out of the equation and you start getting into the weeds of both teams, I do think the Mavs have the advantage with Lively and Gafford.
Yeah, so hopefully the 20-year-old can continue his high level of play here. I'm going to go back to P.J. Washington here, Coop. He did not have a great shooting series against the Timberwolves. He was great shooting the ball the first 2 rounds, especially against Oklahoma City. Give me 3+ threes in this game. We'll get to some more pick and roll talk in a minute. I think Boston is going to leave P.J. Washington and force him to make some of those shots. Like, he hits a couple early, well, that forces them to adjust their defense.
Yep.
So if he can get back to being a marksman from the corner, especially am I expecting 46% from the corner like he was in the first 2 rounds? He was shooting a little over his head there, but that number almost over-regressed last round. Like, if he's back in the mid-high 30s from that corner and at least mid-30s overall, I think that's going to play a big role, because if you feel good about him, and really even Derrick Jones too, of knocking down those shots fairly consistently, that makes it very tough on Boston, a good defensive team, to find answers consistently on the defensive end.
And I kind of think that ties in with this next key, which is Luka hunting Porzingis in the pick and roll. Washington should be open off the pick and roll if Boston does what every other team does, which is trap Luka. He should be able to find Washington in that corner 3. So he should have open shots, and hopefully he can knock those down, because that would be big if they have to kind of respect all parts of the game, whether it's the corner 3 or kind of trapping Luka there at the high.
Yeah, and I wanted to add Porzingis specifically in this, because in theory he would help Boston's struggling pick and roll defense, but he had some bizarre quotes on Tuesday where
it was strange.
He asked, "Hey, are you 100%?" He's kind of hesitating. He's like, "I don't know." And then he asked later on, I can't remember what he was asked.
Someone asked him, "Is he running pain-free?" And he paused for 10 seconds and then goes, "Yes."
So I don't know.
Smiled. So I don't know.
I don't know if he's playing coy. I don't know if he's not trusting where the calf is at this point. But either way, I'm trying to get that guy to move a lot on defense to test that early in this series. And if he gets stuck on switches and just has no chance of staying with Luka, that means they're going to have to overhelp. Okay, PJ, got to hit some shots.
Yep.
B, I think the lob game is going to be there. The drop-off pass to Lively and Gafford is going to be there. So I'm testing Porzingis early and often this series. Even if he's healthy, you're going to do that, because that's how the Mavs operate. But especially with that calf, I want to see how he's moving around early on here.
Speaking of the lob game, win the points in the paint battle.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Mavericks throughout the course of the last series outscored Minnesota. Now, after the first couple of games, that started to flip a little bit. Minnesota made up ground there and won a couple of games in the paint. But, Mavericks stayed within 10 points, which is going into that series, you were like, that's probably an area Minnesota can dominate. But with the rim protection Lively and Gafford provided, they were kind of able to withstand and even win that category multiple times. I think Dallas is built to win in the paint in this series.
Yep.
I think Jayson Tatum's going to have to take a lot of jumpers. Jaylen Brown is a little more rugged. He'll try to get downhill some, but Anthony Edwards had trouble scoring in the paint with his athleticism over Gafford and Lively. Is Brown and Tatum going to get downhill and score consistently in there? Porzingis, I think a lot of his damage is going to be in the mid-range and from the three-point line. I think Dallas is built to win in the paint, not easily, but fairly consistently in this series. I think if you do that in game 1, if you win 10+ in the paint, you're going to be in a good position here. Yeah,
like we talked about, I kind of think the Mavs have a big advantage once you get past Porzingis. I think the Mavs have the next 2 best bigs, and that should be an advantage for them on the defensive end as well, because those guys do protect the rim. Lively especially, I think, is an excellent rim protector as well. So that'll definitely be a big key to this one.
And then kind of similar to your point, but Kyrie, just embrace the environment you're in. And I think he will. I don't think – he's definitely not going to shy away from it. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to go out there and score 35 in game 1. But, be in the moment. That's something he's talked about. Relish the moment. I mean, he said, look, 7 years in between finals appearances. He's not taking this for granted. And every game's critical, man. You got to feel like every game is a must-win at this point. So, it's a great opportunity to go out and set the tone of this series. you don't have to win tonight to win this series, but if you do, the pressure flips very quickly because then game 2, you want to talk about must win. Pretty close to a must-win for Boston at home.
Yeah, certainly. I kind of do. That's kind of how I envision the series going. I don't know if you feel the same way. I think the Mavs are going to take game 1 tonight, and then they might split game 2 and come back to the American Airlines Center.
Ask me in a few hours when we're live on the channel.
We'll see then.
But I will say this. I feel great about achieving at least a split because this team, they've played better on the road. I think Luka likes playing these big games on the road more. I think they get at least one of these.
And if they do lose game 1, I have full confidence they'll win game 2, if not for the simple fact that they haven't lost back-to-back games since March.
Yeah, that's another reason.
But as far as Kyrie goes, yeah, like you said as well, I think he will embrace the crowd. Kyrie's been super good about talking about being in the moment and just being where your feet are, embracing the hate, the love, and all of that. I think Kyrie will be just fine in this one. I expect him to have a very good series.
Will there be a single Kyrie Celtics jersey in the crowd?
Yes.
I bet we'll see at least one.
I bet there is one.
Over, under, half. You let us know in the chat, more or less, I should say.
And we'll have, not only will there be Kyrie jerseys, there will also be Kyrie jerseys with, like, Pritchard taped over the back of it as well. We'll definitely see some of those for sure.
That's good stuff. All right, the stage is set. We'll be live 7 o'clock Central tonight, so be sure to subscribe and join us.
We're here.
Full coverage of the NBA Finals. Who you got? DAL for the Mavericks, BOS for the Celtics. We'll see you in a few hours.